And we're at 50 attendees. I think it's time to begin. So let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Anthony Lopez, and I'm part of the VTA's Community Outreach and Public Engagement team. This is the second of 4 Transit-Oriented Communities Grant Program workshops, and we're happy that you are all able to join us. Next slide, please. You may notice that each slide includes text in Spanish and Vietnamese. We have interpreters available for these languages. Evita Martinez-Kelly will provide Spanish interpretation, and Quindon will provide Vietnamese interpretation. Next slide, please. You can access the interpreters at any time during the workshop by clicking on the globe icon at the bottom of your Zoom window or the More tab on your mobile device, and select the language you wish to participate in. An approximately 30-minute presentation followed by a Q&A session. We may not have time to answer all the questions, so please submit your questions using the Q&A tool located at the bottom of your Zoom window. Questions will be answered in the order that they are received. Next slide, please. To have a productive meeting, we have a quick slide on etiquette. Please take a minute to read this slide. We want to ensure that this is a respectful and comfortable meeting for everyone. Staff will remove any participant who exhibits demeaning, discriminatory, or harassing behavior. Please be aware that this workshop is being recorded. Links to the video and presentation will be posted on the program webpage to ensure interested applicants can access all questions and answers. The webpage is vta.org/TOC grant. We encourage everyone to use the chat as a space for cross-community dialogue, to network with one another as a resource. If you have any issues with Zoom, please message VTA's Deanna Bolio in the chat. Next slide, please. Today's presentation will provide some background on the Transit-Oriented Communities Grant, including eligibility and evaluation criteria. We will also walk through the application process. The agenda includes introductions, followed by program background, grant purpose and eligibility, application components and evaluation criteria, application process, grant agreement requirements, schedule, and a question and answer session. I'll now pass it to Melissa Cerezo, who will introduce VTA's Transit-Oriented Communities and Transit-Oriented Development Program. Melissa?
Good morning. My name is Melissa Cerezo. I'm the Transit-Oriented Communities Program Manager within VTA's Real Estate and Transit-Oriented Development and Communities Department. On behalf of our team and VTA, it's a pleasure and an honor to present this grant opportunity to you, our local community champions. We're inspired to learn from you and learn with you as we create new pathways for collective impact and the implementation of equitable transit-oriented communities. But let's first introduce VTA. We're more than just buses and light rail. We are the county transportation agency that acts as a funding channel for local cities and other agencies, and now to community organizations through this grant. We design and build transit facilities, highway improvements, and we expand rail. We design, build, and own BART to Silicon Valley infrastructure in Santa Clara County. And we also provide countywide transportation planning integrated with land use. Our VTA real estate role is defined by the VTA board adopted policy called the Transit-Oriented Communities Policy. What are transit-oriented communities? For VTA, transit-oriented communities are mixed use, mixed income, equitable communities within a half mile of transit stations and corridors where people of all ages and backgrounds can live, work, play, learn, shop, and have all the necessities of daily life within a 15-minute walk, bike ride, roll, or to transit. This approach has numerous benefits. It reduces the need to drive. It increases transit ridership. It also reduces greenhouse gas emissions and promotes health and well-being. Our policy directs us to use VTA transit stations as sites for development, to collaborate with local agencies to channel new growth near VTA transit and address important regional goals like the need for affordable housing. And our policy also, and importantly, acknowledges that transit and transit-oriented development can increase land value and housing costs, resulting in the potential for displacement. We want to address displacement. Therefore, our policy calls for equitable transit-oriented communities and community collaboration by creating diverse housing options, supporting local commercial and retail spaces, arts and cultural activities, and enhancing mobility options, as well as community services and amenities. So this policy drives our strategy for development on VTA sites, which we call transit-oriented development. It also drives our strategy for the 1/2 mile area around our VTA stations, what we call transit-oriented communities. Our transit-oriented development program creates mixed-use, mixed-income developments on VTA land through partnerships with nonprofits, private developers, and public sector agencies. It grows ridership, local investment, and per our policy is required to provide new affordable housing. So to date, we've constructed 444 units, with half of those being affordable. And we're going beyond that. We're tripling that number with 1,600 units in our pipeline, with 60% of those being affordable. So building on the success of our development partnership model, our newly created transit-oriented communities program is seeking to grow innovative and robust partnerships in the communities surrounding transit stations, and also seeking to increase the share of our county's growth to areas around frequent transit. We know we're not alone in having a vision to support thriving communities, healthy and accessible places, and prosperity for all next to transit, and that's going to be through the power of partnerships. So we're thrilled to open this first cycle, and there will be more, of the Transit-Oriented Communities Grant Program, which we released on April 1st through a document called the Notice of Funding Availability, or NOFA. We've created $750,000 in competitive funding directed to a broad range of applicants like nonprofits, community organizations, and local agencies that serve Santa Clara County to fund 4 program areas to implement innovative partnerships and remove barriers to advancing equitable transit-oriented communities. This is our first time creating funding for community-based organizations. We're targeting projects that are located next to existing and future light rail stations and commuter rail stations within our county. So those 4 program areas are represented here, and I'll just walk through the percentage of funding devoted to each. All of these, we believe, are going to advance our key policy goals. A is planning and policy implementation, representing 50% of our fund. Program area B is community resilience, which is representing 25% of the fund. Program area C is education and engagement, which will represent approximately 15% of our fund. And lastly, placemaking, arts and activation, which will allow for 10% of the funding to be devoted towards that. So in this section, I'll cover who is eligible for the grant areas and then a brief overview of each of the program areas. So eligibility does vary by program area, and it's summarized on this table. Overall, this grant is geared towards local public agencies and local nonprofits and community-based organizations in or serving Santa Clara County. So for program area A, and that is planning and policy implementation, the eligible applicants must be public agencies located in Santa Clara County. For program area B, community resilience, this is specifically geared towards nonprofit, community-based organizations operating in Santa Clara County. For program areas C, education and engagement, and program area D, placemaking, arts and activation, they are available for both local public agencies and local nonprofit community organizations. I want to note that the local public agencies will be required to provide a match and that's regardless of program area, and that ranges between 10% to 15% based on the size of the grant. So now I'll go over the program areas one by one with just a bit more detail as to the goals of each area and the available funding. So the Planning and Policy Implementation Program Area A will support station area plans, transit access planning, and equitable community engagement processes, as well as technical assistance to support alignment with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission's transit-oriented communities policy. These funds will lead to the adoption of plans, policies, and regulations that implement sustainable and equitable communities at VTA stations and corridors. The grant funding available per application in Program Area A is approximately $175,000, and we anticipate awarding approximately 2 to 3 grants in this program area. The Community Resilience Program Area is open to community-based organizations who are 501c3 nonprofits located in Santa Clara County or sponsoring a project within Santa Clara County. This will enable capacity building and technical assistance to raise the profile of that community-based organization in implementing equitable transit-oriented communities, such as implementing affordable housing. So for example, this grant category will support emerging community development corporations to build their capacity to take on housing preservation, such as site acquisition and rehab, or affordable housing production. The grant funding available in this program area is about $100,000 per application, and we plan to award approximately 2 to 3 grants in this program area. The Education and Engagement Program area will strengthen support and advocacy for transit-oriented communities policies, investments, and implementation, and remove barriers to implementing inclusive and culturally relevant engagement activities and practices. So for example, a local agency may have an existing equitable engagement plan, and this category would fund culturally relevant engagement, such as peer leaders or promotores, to lead engagement activities for your station area plan. This program area aims to fund 4 to 5 projects with grants up to $27,000. And lastly, the Placemaking and Arts Program area will enable inviting and welcoming public spaces around transit stations and corridors and enhance our passenger environments with publicly accessible art in public view, reflecting the vibrancy of community culture, history, and identity. In addition to art, events and activities aimed at strengthening local culture and identity are also eligible activities. This grant program will fund approximately 6 to 8 applications with up to $15,000 per application. Now I'll pass it over to Sarah, who will discuss the application components and criteria. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. My name is Sarah Reblay, and I'm a member of the logistics team. I'm super excited to be here and just wanted to thank you all for attending the webinar today. Over the next few slides, I'll provide an overview of the application components and criteria that will be used to evaluate your applications. I'm about to walk through a lot of information, so I just want to remind you that attachment C in the notice of funding availability provides all of this information as well. So the application is organized into 3 major sections: administrative items, transit-oriented items, and the description of the project. All applicants must complete these sections in order to be considered eligible for the evaluation and selection of the grant. The administrative section includes a staffing plan, a milestone schedule, a proposed budget, and a partnership statement. As a part of the transit-oriented elements of the application, applicants must include a statement of how equitable processes are included as a part of the project, as well as how equitable outcomes are achieved with the project. This section also includes a description of how the project increases transit ridership and identification of which transit station or center your project will serve. Lastly, applicants will be asked to provide a narrative or project description of the project and how it aligns with our grant program goals. You'll also provide a statement of identification of a targeted community and if there's an existing relationship with that community. Lastly, you'll identify any anticipated outcomes and how they will be achieved through your activities. So we can hop to the next slide. The administrative section will be evaluated based on the following 4 elements that I just walked through: a staffing plan, a milestone schedule, a budget, and a partnership statement. The application document provides templates that you can use for the staffing plan, milestone schedule, and budget, just to make this project process a little simpler for you. In the next few slides, I will provide a few tips on what to include for each of these, some tips and tricks to make it easier. And just a reminder, there's a maximum of 6 points available for this section. So for our staffing plan, the staffing plan is one way that you can really show that the project is implementable and that you have the proper staff to get it done. As you prepare your staffing plan, please include all your organizational staff. We encourage you to include all roles and their percent availability. Please also include any paid and unpaid volunteers. Next, when developing your budget, please provide some general buckets or categories for anticipated costs. In the budget, be realistic and accurate. Don't undervalue your artists or leave out expected fees. Include all costs, including labor of your own time, your coworkers' times, and operational costs, materials, equipment, permits and fees, etc. And lastly, account for all applicable contractual requirements that are listed in attachment A of the notice of funding availability. Lastly, some tips and tricks for the partnership statement. We want applicants to show a realistic implementation plan. Again, we've stated that a few times, and oftentimes that requires a partnership already being in the works at the time of application, or at least for partners to be identified. Partners may be required for implementation, including if your project requires permission from property owners, if your project requires any city permits for events, or if your project requires future partners for completion. Application should include a statement of how you will collaborate with other partners to ensure a successful implementation of your project. Partnership letters from VTA will not be necessary, as VTA is the grant provider. VTA's transit-oriented communities program is committed to advancing equitable transit-oriented communities that benefit all community members, regardless of their income, background, or identity, and seeks to fund diverse grant partners who share this approach. In that light, this portion of the application will be evaluated on how equity is incorporated and prioritized as part of your project. Other elements that will be evaluated as part of this application include how the project is anticipated to increase transit ridership and the proximity of the project to transit stations and transit centers. On our website and on the bottom of this slide, we've provided an online mapping tool, or you can see it on the bottom of this slide. We've provided an online mapping tool in which you can type in your project location or address and determine if it's in an eligible geography. This tool will show you if your project lands in an MTC equity priority community. Please note that having your project in an equity priority community is not a requirement, and it only represents one way to show how equity could be incorporated into your project, so part of that equity bullet. The transit-oriented element section of the application can score a maximum of 8 points. So now we will get into the program areas. So each program area has specific criteria to break down how the evaluation panel will score applications. Applications submitted for Program A, Planning and Policy Implementation, will be evaluated on how well the activity will advance alignment with regional transit-oriented communities policy, how well it will facilitate advancement of transit-oriented development around VTA stations, transit stations, and centers, and how it will align with VTA transit-oriented community grant goals, or our program goals that are provided in the notice of funding availability. There are a total of 20 points that are available for Program A. For Program B, Community Resiliency, this will be evaluated on how well your activity and project can contribute to the protection, preservation, or production of affordable housing. How well your project mitigates displacement of small businesses or residents, and how the activity will raise the community-based organization, so the applicant, how it will raise your profile in the community. There are also a total of 20 points available for Program B. So now we will get into Program C and D. So applications submitted for Program C, Education and Engagement, will be evaluated on how well the activity will increase community participation by overcoming barriers that limit participation of historically underrepresented groups, and how well the activity empowers the community to advocate for transit-oriented communities through education activities. A total of 16 points are available for Program C. And lastly, we will head into Program D, Placemaking, Arts, and Activation. You'll be evaluated based on the activity being able to promote local artists, culture, history, or community value through the provision of arts and community events. How well you can contribute to improving the safety and comfort of pedestrians accessing transit, and contribute to placemaking around transit. A total of 16 points are also available for Program D, same as Program C. So I know that was a lot of information and a lot of details about individual criteria for the program areas and other elements. So just wanted to remind you again, please reference attachment C within the NOFA to get more details and information on these criteria. I'll now pass it on to Lindsay, who will walk us through the application process and OpenGov.
Thank you so much, Sarah. My name is Lindsay Kiner, and I'm part of the grant logistics team. And we'll move into a discussion now on the application process and how to use OpenGov to submit your application. So if we can move on to the next slide, thank you. So we're using OpenGov as our grant submittal and management website. Some of you may be familiar with OpenGov. You may have used it before for other procurements or with other agencies, and for others, this may be totally new. So what can you do on OpenGov? You can do a lot of important things related to your application. First, you can download your application, the fillable PDF version, which is the version you're going to want to use. You can also ask questions of the grant logistics team and view our responses. And most importantly, you can submit your application by the deadline. Also, another perk is the Transit-Oriented Development and Transit-Oriented Communities Department at VTA posts other opportunities here. So once you sign up, you can also opt in for notifications about other RFPs and hopefully other grant opportunities that we'll offer in the future. So here we have some screenshots on that show you how to get to our e-procurement portal. And you'll know you're in the right place because you'll see the title of our project, Transit-Oriented Communities Grant 2024. The way you get to this page is you navigate to our grant website. You go to the right-hand side of the page and you click on the green button that says apply. The button says visit portal. Sorry, not apply here. It says visit portal. So you'll want to look for that, and that'll take you right over to OpenGov. And you'll need to sign in first, and we'll talk about how to do that in just a moment. And if you need to translate, we have screenshots here that show you how you can translate the OpenGov website using your browser. In the upper right-hand corner is typically where you can select your language. We have a more detailed PDF on how to do this on our grant webpage. And I popped a link to our grant webpage into the chat, and we'll do that again so folks have that if you haven't already been there. So moving on to the next slide, we're going to talk about how to create an account. Step-by-step guide, and I know some of you guys already have. Thank you so much. If you haven't done so already, this will show you how to do it. And it's necessary to create an account so you can download and submit an application. So please be sure to do this well in advance of the submittal deadline in case you need help with setting up your account or run into an issue. And the account is free and it's based in your browser. There is no software to download. So these screenshots will show you how to do this. And again, to get to the portal, like we talked about, you can do that through the grant webpage by clicking on the Visit Portal button. It'll open up a new page to take you into our portal. And don't worry, as we walk through this, if you go back, once you go back to your desk and you do this later today or later in the week, we have a QR code on the right that will take you to a YouTube video created by OpenGov that walks you through how to do this process. So feel free to grab that. We'll also post that later and post the presentation later so you can grab that. And the first step is signing up with your email. Please note that if you already have an OpenGov account with VTA's main procurement website, you'll need to use a new or a different email address to sign up for our TOD portal. And once you click sign up, it's going to send you an activation email. Please look for that in your email client and be sure to check your spam folder just in case the email happened to land there. We'll move on to the next page. And very easy, once you click on the activation email, you're going to fill out the prompts for your contact information, set a password. Please remember it, write it down, and then you're good to go. You'll click activate. When you see that green button, just click on that and you're good to go. And you can log in and get started on downloading your application, which we'll show you how to do on the next slide. So downloading your application is super easy. Once you log in, our portal is laid out kind of like file folders. So you'll see all these file tabs right below the VTA logo. You'll want to click on downloads. When you click on that, you will select the application in the language of your choice and then click download, and you will get your fillable PDF downloaded to your computer. And this PDF is fully ADA accessible and should be viewable and fillable on most PDF viewers. And let's move on to the next slide to talk about how to submit a question. A lot of you are already populating our Q&A function on Zoom. Thank you so much. We'll dive into that in a few moments. But I'm sure some of you guys will have questions later. So please use our Q&A function on OpenGov. And we encourage you to do so everyone can have the benefit of seeing the questions and answers. This helps make sure that everyone applying has the same information is on an even playing field for this competitive grant. We also find that applicants tend to have similar questions. And questions can be about anything regarding the application, the process of filling out the application, submitting the application, asking for clarifications on the NOFA or any of the attachments. So here we have a quick step-by-step guide on how to ask a question on OpenGov. So very simple, again, log in and you'll go to the tab on the far right that says question and answer. You will click on ask a question, you'll fill in the prompts, and all questions are anonymous. So that makes it super easy. And you just click on submit a question. And we're asking that all questions, we will be answering questions on a rolling basis every week. So please ask your questions as soon as they come to mind. But we do also have a deadline for submitting the questions, which is 4 p.m. on May 8th. And then we're going to respond to all those questions by May 13th. And then we're going to close the Q and answer period. The reason for this is we want to have a period of time where it's really heads down, applicants working on their applications, where there's no new information being presented and you can focus. And so that's where that deadline is. So please ask all your questions by May 8th. And we'll move on to the next slide and talk about how to submit your application. This is the big step. First, you want to make sure you have all your files ready to go on your computer. You'll log in. And then you'll click on the green button that says draft response, which is just to the right of the VTA logo. You will then go through a series of prompts. So for example, if you're a nonprofit, you'll be asked to fill in specific contact information. And then all applicants will be asked to answer and confirm a few key questions. For example, one of the questions is, did you attend or watch a recording of at least one pre-application workshop? So all of you guys here have already fulfilled that requirement, so congrats. And then you will be asked to upload your application as a PDF. And then on the last question, you'll have another opportunity to upload any other attachments that you may have that weren't included in that original application. And that's an optional question. Go ahead and do that, click continue. You'll be taken to the final page on the right. And if everything is green, green means good to go, and hit submit. If something's red, that's just going to give you a flag to go back and check that you answered all the questions, uploaded everything you need. And then very last OpenGov slide is about the help desk. So if you have any questions, technical questions about using OpenGov, such as how to create your account, you're having issues with creating your account, you're having troubles accessing your account, or you're having browser compatibility issues, really could run the gamut. But more technical questions, not so much about the process of filling out the grant or the requirements that you would direct to the logistics team, you can reach out to OpenGov's help desk, which is available from 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we have some screenshots on how to do that. You'll log in to the portal right above the VTA logo. There's a question mark icon that says visit the help center. Click on that. That'll take you to another page, and you'll look for the little cartoon speech bubble. Click on that, and a chat bot field will pop up from there. You'll fill in your information, and the chat bot will immediately connect you with an actual person who will help you answer your questions, help you troubleshoot if you are asking those questions between those service hours of 4 a.m. and 7 p.m. And with that, that's everything you need for OpenGov, and you're ready to get started if you haven't done so already. And we'll move into our closing slide. So requirements for selected grantees. If you are recommended by our selection panel for a grant award, VTA will then enter into contract negotiations with the organization, and you're going to be asked to meet specific requirements. First, you'll enter into a grant agreement with VTA. I will note that we will be posting sample agreements on the grant webpage very soon for you to look at. We also ask that you are compliant with applicable regulatory agencies as detailed in Appendix A, and also meet applicable insurance requirements also detailed in Appendix A. And also, once selected, we'll ask that all grantees participate in the grantee cohort following the award. And for selected applicants, VTA will provide ongoing technical support to help the projects achieve desired outcomes and be successful. So we really encourage you to do so and apply. And moving on to the last slide, quick deadlines. We all know that the NOFA was released on April 1st. Applications are due by 4 p.m. on May 22nd. Notification of final awards will be on July 1st. With that, I thank you for your time, and we will move into our question and discussion portion of our program. And I'll pass it to Anthony. I'll quickly note there is a QR code that will take you to our grant webpage that I've referred to so frequently. So thank you so much. And Anthony, take it away.
Thank you, Lindsay. That was a lot of information, folks, but we do have a lot of questions, and we'd like to get to those as soon as possible so that we can answer them all. Let's begin with the first question, which is, can you apply for more than one program or programs? Sarah, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, applicants may submit multiple applications, whether in the same or different program areas, but you cannot submit applications for the same geography or program or project location, if that clarifies it.
Thank you. Next question. Where can we find a map of light rail stations in San Jose? How about Lindsay?
Thanks for the question. So applicants can check if their project location is eligible for the grant by checking our eligibility map, and I'll put a link there. If you want to find out where all of our light rail stations are, you can also find that on the VTA website. But if you're specifically asking about eligibility for the grant, you'll want to use this mapping tool that I'm going to drop into the chat. And we've also answered this question on OpenGov, so feel free to refer to that answer as well.
Thank you. Next question. What is the grant period? When are projects expected to begin and end? Let's see, do we want to go back to Sarah for that question?
Yeah, I can get that. Yeah, so our grant will fund projects and activities that are planned to commence between July 1st, 2024 and June 30th, 2025.
Wonderful, thank you.
Can I also just add a quick note there? So for and the duration of time which the grant would cover that project's timeline would vary. So for program area A, which is planning and policy implementation and community resilience, program area B, depending on the project, that may have like a multi-year implementation. And so just to give you a sense of that, we're allowing up to 5 years. And then for program areas C and D, education, engagement, arts, and placemaking, those are going to be on a shorter project implementation timeline of 1 year.
Thank you, Melissa. The next question, if a nonprofit is working on affordable housing at the policy level, would activities around the development of that policy possibly fit in program area B? Is that a Sarah question?
I think so. And yeah, I want to say yes. So if you're a nonprofit, yes, area B would be good. And if it's working on affordable housing, I think that would be the right choice. I'll check if any of my team members have a different thought, but I believe you'd be correct in that.
We all agree?
Yeah, it sounds like the development of that affordable housing policy expertise is a capacity building intention. And so I think that matches up with the community resilience program area B.
Wonderful. That was a great question. Next question. Can a 501c3 or C6, excuse me, apply by itself, or do they need a fiscal sponsor?
I can take that one.
Mhm.
The answer is yes. Please apply on your own if you're a 501c3. We completely welcome that. If you'd like to partner with someone, you're also welcome to do that as well. Whatever you think would help you make your application more robust, you're welcome to do that, but it is not a requirement. You are completely able to apply on your own as a CBO. We do require that you are registered 501c3, so that's great.
And I just
Yeah.
wanted to add an additional thought there. So I think that the question was specifically around the C6, 501c6 organization. And so yes, if you are partnered with a C3 organization, the C3 organization would be the one that we would be accepting as the applicant. So you would be a partner. The C3 would be a partner.
I see. The next question is a related question. It is about the 501c3s, and the question is, Local Color is a 501c3 CBO that supports fiscally sponsored projects. Can two applications using the same EIN be submitted to support two separate projects? You want to take that one, Sarah?
Yes, I believe so. Yes. So we're allowing you to submit multiple applications. Again, they just cannot be for the same exact geography or project location. But you're allowed to submit multiple applications.
Okay, another organizational question. Would a nonprofit be eligible to apply for more than one program area to maximize impact of program or project, i.e. apply for community resilience and placemaking, arts, and activation? I think this is another Sarah question.
Yeah. Yeah, I think same answer as I know we have a few similar questions about multiple applications. So yes, the answer is yes, as long as it's not for the same project.
Great, thank you. The next question. Can you please clarify if there is or will be a short application form for program area D for a 15K project?
I can take this one again. The application form is the same. for all. So it is not a shortened application because it's a smaller amount of money. It is the same, that attachment B found in OpenGov will be the same application form used for all program areas.
Yeah, sounds about right. Next question. Can a local agency submit multiple applications, such as apply for the planning and policy implementation category and another application under placemaking, arts, and activation? Or would we only be able to apply under one category? I think this question was already answered, but let's go ahead and answer it again, Sarah.
Yeah, multiple applications are allowed, and can be for different program areas as long as it's not the same program location or in the same exact geography.
And
Great, thanks.
so in essence, it shouldn't be for the same project.
Yeah.
Great clarification.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Melissa. So Lydia asks, you mentioned that there will be multiple rounds. Is that annual? Is this a one-time funding, or is it possible to obtain multiple years of funding as the project continues to evolve over time? Ooh, that's a good question. Who wants to take that one on?
I'll take that on. Thank you, Lydia. Good to see you on the call. I want to say that we're very excited that we have 2 rounds of funding that we've been approved for by our board. So this first tranche is $750,000, and we have another cycle upcoming. And so yes, there will be a future cycle of this grant. This being our first year, it's our learning year. We're hoping to learn from how the program has been administered and to improve upon and update the way that we do the next cycle's NOFA. And so we are open to the idea of this being an opportunity for applicants to come back for additional funding. We have not yet determined what those requirements are going to be yet for the second cycle, but I'll just say that we have that optionality in the future.
Thank you. So we have an anonymous question. I believe I know the answer to this, but I'll go ahead and confirm that. Is there a chance to extend the deadline for submissions beyond May 22nd? And if so, where or how the applicants will be informed? I do not believe we'll be extending the application period. The timeline and the deadlines are on the program webpage, so you can look there. If anything does change, any information will be updated on the program webpage. So please visit there frequently to stay up to date with any changes to the program. But I don't think that we will be extending the program.
And I'll just add, yeah, in terms of if there's any major change, that's why you'll want to sign up on OpenGov and follow the project, because any major changes to the project, we would issue an addenda. So that would be another way we would communicate with you. So please go ahead and once you sign up, follow the project so you'd receive any addendas. And also when we answer any questions, you'll get those responses as well with an email hit to your email client.
Thank you, Lindsay. I'd like to add that we have a subscription list that if you didn't use Eventbrite to register for this event, please sign up on our subscription list, and then you'll be receive email notifications when we do have updates to share. And again, that's on our program webpage down at the bottom right corner. So the next question. The previous presenter mentioned Appendix C to download, refer to, portal. However, I saw an Appendix B in the OpenGov. I think that there are both appendix, but does somebody want to elaborate on that? I think Lindsay may have some information.
Yeah, great question. So only the application, the fillable application, is available on OpenGov. To download the other appendices along with the NOFA itself, you want to go to vta.org/TOC grant, which we posted in the chat earlier, and scroll down to 2024 Transit Oriented Communities Grant Application. And we have that as an entire package PDF, and we have it in 5 different languages. So we'll post that link again and just go down there and you can download that PDF and you'll just navigate to that specific appendix.
Thank you, Lindsay. The next question is, years serving Santa Clara County, is the fiscal sponsor or CBO? I think Sarah might be able to clarify this.
Yeah, so if you are applying for program area B as a 501c3 nonprofit, or you're a sponsored project of a 501c3 fiscal sponsor, either one, you have to have at least 1 year serving Santa Clara County, of providing community services in the county. So that is the main applicant must have 1 year or more serving Santa Clara.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, who is on the review panel? Does anyone want to elaborate on the panel?
Yeah, I could take that one, and Melissa can jump in too. So we have an evaluation panel that's comprised of individuals across different cross-sectional departments at VTA that are related to transit-oriented communities. And they represent different disciplines so that they can effectively evaluate the different program areas that we've included in the grant opportunity. And we also have one community member as well. So hoping that those folks will bring a wide diversity of experiences and knowledge and disciplines to the review of the applications. Melissa, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, we also have an advisory evaluation panel as well. Lindsay, if you want to just talk about their expertises as well.
Yes, we also have a technical advisory team. We're very, first of all, I want to thank all of these individuals. All of them are attending one of the workshops. We had quite a few of them last week, and quite a few of them are on the call today. They specialize in different disciplines. So we've got specialists in urban design, placemaking specialists in housing preservation, specialists in art and education. So again, they run across the 4 program areas, and they can serve as a resource to the evaluation panel members. So if there's a specific application that gets very specific about a discipline, and the evaluation panel is like, yeah, gosh, I'm not an expert in this, and I really need technical advice about the feasibility of this project, the implementation risks or probability of how this would play out, they can reach out to these non-voting technical advisors to get that technical advice and integrate that into their scores. So we've got that layer of support. And then beyond that, the VTA is a vast organization with many professionals, and we feel that if there is anything that would require more expertise, we can reach out to them. And of course, everyone's asked to keep these applications in confidentiality. We have everyone sign confidentiality requirements and conflict of interest requirements. So everything is kept confidential, but we want to make sure that the resources that the evaluation panel needs in terms of folks who are experts in specific areas that pertain to your project are accessible to them. And that's the role that the logistics team will play in connecting them with those resources. And thank you to all of those folks who are volunteering their time.
Thank you, Lindsay. So Adam asks, can the planning and policy implementation category be used towards TOC policies within a citywide document, such as a circulation element of the general plan? I believe that's a yes, but I'll ask Sarah to elaborate a little bit.
Yes, yeah, it is a yes. And on the 5th page of the NOFA, it kind of clarifies what we're going after with program area A with planning and policy implementation, but it's intended to help local agencies prepare and adapt local long-range plans, policies, standards, and codes to increase the future growth of the county. So yes.
Thank you, Sarah. We have another anonymous question. Can you provide an estimate of how much will be the time to process the grant agreement with the city so we can input that into the timeline of the project?
You take that.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe Melissa can help with this one.
Yeah. So this sounds like a question that is specific to our local agency applicants. And so often grant funding agreements are subject to the approval of that partner agency. So in many cases, city council action is required to be taken. And so we are allowing this, this period of time to be determined by VTA and our grantee. So as soon as we could get those authorizing those authorizations from the right bodies, then that's as soon as we could do it. We understand that that could take several weeks or maybe a few months, but that will be determined between VTA and the grantee.
Thank you, Melissa. The next question from Michelle is, for arts and placemaking, what are the date ranges for when activations need to occur with this funding? And I'll direct this to Sarah.
Yeah, for program area D, the eligible grant terms are 1 year. So that July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. And those are outlined in page 2 of the NOFA for everyone else listening, for whatever program area you're applying to. They're outlined on page 2.
Thank you. The next question is from Aruna. What are the grant administration requirements? Example, invoicing, etc. Who would like to take that one?
I can take it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, hi, Runa. Thanks for the question. I think you're talking about disbursement of payments, and I think we will be providing on our website and OpenGov samples of the funding agreements to provide a sense of the kind of administration that we're going to be laying out for our grantees. And we're still, we have some options as to the disbursement of funds, and it could be prepayment, it could be task-oriented payment or reimbursement, and I'm missing, or periodic payment. So we're still, we are going to determine that with our grantees once award has been made.
Thank you, Melissa. So the next question again is from an anonymous attendee, and the question is, if this is a multi-year project for us, can we apply to the next round of this grant to supplement the needed project funding? This is a tricky one, I believe.
I can go for it. It sounds a bit parallel to the one that Lydia had raised earlier. We are looking forward to a future grant cycle, and hopefully more than just a second. And we're open to the possibility of projects coming through the door in the first cycle and then being awarded in the next cycle, such that they meet the criteria and expectations of that future NOFA, which we're still determining. So there is an openness, but we still don't know exactly what the second cycle NOFA is going to look like.
Thank you, Melissa. I think I know the answer to the next question. Another anonymous attendee would like to know if a project is located on a BRT line, a bus rapid transit, within a half mile of a transit station. And the answer is to visit the program webpage and look at the interactive map that we have there, and you can identify and locate where you want to do your project and understand whether or not it's within the radius for eligibility. We're running out of time. We probably can get a few more questions in. So the next question is, apologies for joining late. Thank you, Mary. I want to clarify that eligibility pertaining to commuter rail stations served by Caltrain, if our agency is addressing Caltrain means, safety, and suicide prevention along railway, would this work be eligible for this grant? And I think that might be a Sarah question.
I might bounce it to Lindsay if she has a little more experience with this than I do. Is that all right?
Yeah, I think so. In terms of eligibility, yes, a Caltrain station does count if it's in Santa Clara County, right? So you want to check our eligibility map. And then I think of course, safety along the railway and suicide prevention is a huge issue for Caltrain and all rail providers. especially heavy rail providers. I think that could fall under education and engagement, but I would encourage you to check out the NOFA and also, specifically appendix or attachment A, and looking at the outcomes, see if you feel like your project could meet those outcomes, and perhaps if it would be more than just Caltrain. A lot of Caltrain stations in Santa Clara County also serve other rail providers as well. And so, for example, looking at the outcomes, project overcomes public engagement barriers that limit participation of historically underrepresented groups. So that could be, something you focus on. So I think that could work. It's a very specific question, but I would say really dig into the outcomes and the requirements. Make sure it's in Santa Clara County, and see if you could have a broader application for that across different rail providers. So it falls into, transit-oriented communities and transit for multiple providers. I don't know if Melissa has something to add there.
I don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. We're at time, folks, but I would like to remind everyone that the questions that we weren't able to get to will be answered, and that information will be posted on the OpenGov platform. So please make sure you visit there for the answers to your questions, and to see the answers that we already provided for the previous questions. I'd also like to remind everyone that we have 2 more upcoming workshops. One is on April 30th, and that will be at the Gilroy Library in Gilroy. And the last workshop will be a virtual workshop like this one, and that will be on May 1st. And you can go to the program webpage again to register for one of those events. And with that, I'd like to remind you that the deadline for applications is May 22nd, and the notification of awards is anticipated on July 1st. So please, again, visit the program webpage, vta.org/TOC grant. And if you have any direct questions that you want to email to us, you can email them to tocgrant@vta.org. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day. Oh, I'm sorry, Melissa wants to add something.
Just one more thing. We really appreciate you all being a part of this ecosystem of building equitable transit-oriented communities with us. We encourage you to invite your South County and Gilroy colleagues to our in-person event that's next Tuesday. So please spread the word and help us get great projects moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And again, thanks everyone. Have a great day.